Hi, I'm Sarah Carson. I'm a PhD candidate in anthropology. Anthropologists are known for traveling around the world to understand different cultures and societies, but I have spent the last 2 years here in the United States trying to understand some mysterious people who are often characterized as tribal, Republicans and Democrats. I study organizations on both sides of the aisle that train women to run for political office, and I analyze their strategies and how they talk about gender and leadership to understand how they advance equality in politics. November 2020 ushered in record numbers of women to Congress and our first ever woman and woman of color vice president, Kamala Harris. More women than ever are running for office. Hundreds of political support and training organizations aimed at helping women get elected have emerged in recent years. These organizations offer skills training on things like how to make a campaign budget and fundraise, as well as abstract things like how to craft an authentic message. Some are partisan, some are nonpartisan, and some focus on women from historically underrepresented racial and ethnic groups like Latinas, Black women, or Asian and Pacific Islander women. Some training workshops last just a few hours, and others are really intensive, with a group training together for months at a time. I conducted research with two of these long-term programs, one for Democratic women based on the West Coast, and one for Republican women in the Midwest. My goal is to understand how women's candidate training programs fit into the broader social space of political action and advance gender parity in public office. One recurring theme is continuity versus change. How are women working within existing political and social structures and norms about gender and leadership? And on the other hand, how are they trying to dismantle structures and norms to make room for new ways of being in power? Consider the political party cultural contexts that these women are working within. So the Democratic Party tends to be more decentralized and associated with identity politics or political movements and alliances built from the grassroots up around an identifying social factor like race, class, religion, or gender. In contrast, the Republican Party has more of a top-down hierarchical power structure. That means they're reluctant to engage in these kinds of group interest politics. What that means in practice is that there are some powerful political action committees on the Democratic side that specifically help women, groups like Emily's List, for example. GOP women candidates don't usually receive these kinds of women-specific funding, and they're less likely to be recruited by party leaders or receive structural support. You can see the effect of these different attitudes about identity politics in the programs that I researched. So the Democratic organization has much more funding and a bigger network of supporters, and they're able to train nearly 10 times the number of women that the Republican program trains. In fact, the very existence of a Republican organization that promotes the identity group of women is really antithetical to the party's rejection of identity politics, and it challenges the value typically placed on so-called gender-neutral recruitment by the Republican Party. This tension is really apparent in participants' discourse, like when they express meritocratic ideas or the idea that one should not vote for a woman just because she is a woman, yet they also speak to the need to elect more women, to support women, and to provide them a separate space. So what is the significance of gender training spaces that are for women only? The complexity of gender identity and of pronouns is a topic of discussion at the Democratic organization, which specifically recruits self-identified women. But they still reinforce a binary understanding of gender when they talk about women's leadership versus men's leadership. The Democratic group promotes a feminist politics of difference in that they talk about how women's leadership is fundamentally different and better than men's. This belief contrasts with equality feminism, which is a strategy that focuses on similarities and the politics of sameness. Equality feminism has historically been associated with the political left. So the Democratic programs claim that women are fundamentally different, and the Republicans simply saying that women are equally capable is the opposite of what we might expect. But those stances align with their political approaches that, respectively, emphasize competing constituencies and change versus maintaining an existing system. Because Republicans are more hesitant about identity politics, for many, there is a real tension or a heteroglossia, meaning two simultaneous discourses, affirming the need to elect more women and the more gender-neutral idea of electing the most qualified candidate. So what does it mean to be the most qualified candidate? Well, in some ways, political training programs really encourage women to rethink what leadership looks like. Women on both sides of the aisle are encouraged and discuss the importance of authenticity and telling their individual stories. But some, especially some Republicans, tell me that women should emphasize their rationality in decision-making, and they should wear a suit if they want to take practical steps to get elected, which of course more closely resembles the leadership ideal set by old, rich, white, cisgender, heterosexual men in power. Generally, training programs focus on individual skills training and confidence building, which may elide more systemic barriers to elected office. And in some ways, they offer a Band-Aid solution. But one of the most important aspects of these organizations is not the nuts and bolts training that they provide at all. It's the relationships that are built through spending time together and getting to know each other during the training sessions. The Democratic program I work with, unsurprisingly, considering Democrats are friendly towards the idea of women getting special treatment, has more funding from donors to hire staff to support and grow their network. So they've been able to develop an ongoing mentorship program where alumni can get free advice from professional political consultants. Even without these more formal ongoing benefits, these organizations have the potential to create and maintain powerful networks of like-minded potential candidates who can assist each other in social, emotional, and material ways. It's harder to measure their social benefits, which is why ethnography is so crucial. But not only do these women provide emotional support, commiseration, and inspiration to each other, and advice on things like website building and fundraising platforms, they also provide material support by volunteering, door knocking, and donating to their fellow sisters. The networks of women that these training programs create are powerful, and they need to be. Women across the political spectrum complain to me about the difficulties of breaking into political boys' clubs. Many talk about sexist treatment or of men being more reluctant to mentor and support women. It's tough to combat the political old boys' clubs, but these new girls' clubs make it a little easier.